Hello and welcome to the Somatic Movement and Mindset podcast with me, clinical somatic educator and founder of Total Somatics, Heidi Hadley. The Somatic Movement and Mindset podcast has been designed to help you gain a deeper understanding to how your mind and body work. You will learn about your amazing mind and body and why over time you can feel pain, recurring injuries and poor posture. Within this podcast, I will teach you why this doesn't have to be your future or the norm for you. Would you like to learn how to reduce pain, move freely, and gain a new lease of life? Let's get started. Hello and welcome back. So if you've just joined the membership, because it's open from the 21st to the 23rd of May, this is in 2022, welcome. And I look forward to meeting any of you that are coming in at the very last minute. So thank you for joining. And I know the other members within the Total Somatics community are overwhelmed and absolutely excited for you to join our beautiful global community. So let us consider today our next theme for Mindful in May, and that is the subject of mindset. Now, do you sometimes find that you doubt yourself? Do you feel that you hold yourself back from pursuing interests in your life? That's often that little voice in your head, isn't it, that can say, no, I don't think so. But also your mindset can create other things that aren't so upbuilding for us. For instance, do you find sometimes that you may ruminate over something that was said to you or somebody behaved a certain way and how you perceived it? Because remember, it's all about our perception, how you perceived it because of how you feel internally made you ruminate over that thing. And when you ruminate over it, it's not always the most empowering, positive, energizing, boosting way to live, is it? Because if we have low self-worth, what we start to do is project that into our conversations and our behaviors with others. And then we find that we almost like beat ourselves up because we're ruminating over things through our lens, not as other people view us. And they often have a different view. And you'll be quite surprised how fond and how affectionate people are toward you. But sometimes we stop ourselves from realizing that. And so today, that's what I'd like us just to think about for a moment, is that, can you imagine your mind is like a garden? So we've got the soil, and it's basically whatever we feed our soil or our garden or our mind is what will flourish. So if we sometimes find negative thoughts coming up, can we pull them out like we would with a weed? And when somebody praises us, can we thank them for the praise and just allow that flower to grow in our head? And then just think of everything else that we take in. Can we, as we water our garden, water our mindset, are we watering it with positive, upbuilding, empowering food? Or are we starting to kind of put negative, disempowering, toxic things on that flower bed? Because whatever we feed our mind, whatever we feed the flower bed is either going to make it bloom or it's going to kill it off. And so what we want to do is weed out. So every time those negative thoughts come out, visualize in your head that you are weeding out that negative thought. And initially it can feel quite a challenge because it's a pattern of behavior. However, keep visualizing that flower garden in your head and picking out a weed every time that negative thought comes into play. Because remember, your history can sometimes influence your present state and it can influence your future. So you may have had experiences with people that have hurt you in the past. However, don't let what that happened in the past affect your present state, who you're friends with, where you work, all these different things. Because the reality is how you live today and the people you're with today treat you differently to before. That's not the person that was before. And every person changes. So remember, somas exist in time. How you were years ago, how they were years ago is different to today. So just as you would like people to give us a chance, give each other a chance, we give other people a chance. So we want to make sure that we are also nurturing and caring for ourselves, but we're not too judgmental and black and white with others, because sometimes we just catch people on a bad day. So again, just it's a bit of give and take really, and that will just help to take care of our mindset so we don't feel like we're looking for ways to be hurt, for instance. And that kind of reminds me of when I was growing up. My dad used to use this story, and he used to say, don't take the lawnmower back. Now, I don't know if you've heard of this story, But he taught it us because what can happen is you can ruminate in your mind and create stories before it's actually happened. So the story goes that this man borrowed his neighbor's lawnmower, and he borrowed it for a bit too long. So when he was walking down the road, pushing the lawnmower to the neighbor's house, in his mind, he started thinking of all the possible conversations he would have with the neighbor and how the neighbor was going to be really funny with him because he was late returning the lawnmower, to the point that he created such a story in his head, ruminating as he's walking back to this neighbor's house with the lawnmower, that when the owner opened the door to answer the door to the neighbor had created such a story and whipped up such anger and frustration and bitterness that the neighbor opened the door to smile, and the man with the lawnmower went, "You can have your lawnmower back too," and just stormed off. And the neighbor's looking, thinking, what's wrong? And the moral of the story is that we can sometimes create stories in our head and narratives in our head about a person or a situation, and it's not the case. It's what we've fed in our garden, in our head. And so could you from today, start to weed out those negative, disempowering thoughts? Because what that will do is not only affect your mental well-being, not only affect your energy levels, it affects your interaction with others. And when that happens, it affects your developing a community of friendships around you. Because if you are looking to feel hurt or finding ways that maybe that person isn't genuine with what they say, that's going to start to create distances and chasms. And so could we start to look at our mindset and look at ways that we can feed and flourish our garden, our mindset, weed out all those negative thoughts and allow positive, proactive conversations to come in? That may mean that at times we have to kind of reconsider some of the associations we have. Maybe there are friendship groups where it's pretty toxic. The conversation may be toxic, maybe a lot of talking and gossiping about people. Without making too much of a show of it, is there a way that you could either just change the subject slightly, or at times if you start finding that they don't want to change that subject and they thrive on the gossip, could it be worth just looking at a different friendship group and kindly and respectfully just maybe limiting that amount of time you have with those people, because that will continue feeding into those disempowering negative thoughts. So there's so many things to consider with today's episode, but just the main thing is, as my dad would always say, don't take the lawnmower back. Just start to consider how we can talk and interact with ourselves and others in a more effective, healthier, and upbuilding way. So let me know what you think of today's episode. I always love hearing from you. So keep in touch, and until next time, take care. Thank you for joining me today. If you've enjoyed this episode, please leave a rating and also forward this on to somebody you know will benefit. To learn more about pain relief, plus how to improve your health and well-being, go to totalsomatics.com. Until next time, take care.